In this video, we're thinking about how do we change your body's chemistry? How do you move away from that anxious overthinking state? And how do you move towards peace, calm, and focus? And in order to really appreciate this journey, we need to learn a little bit about the nervous system, and in particular, the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system has two branches, a sympathetic branch and a parasympathetic branch. Now, the sympathetic branch is like the accelerator pedal, so it's like the gas pedal. So it increases heart rate, increases blood pressure, increases your breathing rate. Then we can think about the parasympathetic branch. It's all about resting and digesting, slowing things down, healing and restoring. But we also want to think about the endocrine system, so your hormonal system, and in particular, one very important compound called pregnenolone. Now, you may not have heard of pregnenolone before, that's all right, but it's a very important substance, and the way that it works is easiest if you imagine a seesaw. So I'd like you to imagine one big seesaw, and in the middle, we've got pregnenolone. Now, depending on the conditions of the body, pregnenolone can either be tilted in one direction, where it will be converted to create cortisol, or it can be tilted in another direction, where it be converted to DHEA. If we think about what these substances are, cortisol, also very well known as the stress hormone, is what's known as catabolic, so it breaks things down. And cortisol has been linked to a wide number of different health conditions, and it is most commonly known as the stress hormone. Whereas DHEA is anabolic, so it's building things up. And it's really, really vital for many processes that's important for your health and well-being, and it's generally wellness promoting. If we think about the balance of these two substances, if it's high cortisol and low DHEA, this has been linked to poor memory, poor cognition, impacts on heart function in terms of blood pressure. It affects the immune system, and it affects sort of your ability to be resilient and fight off infections. And it has also been linked to a whole host of other quite nasty health conditions. If the seesaw is tipped to the other way, so it's higher DHEA and then lower cortisol, this has been linked with peak performance, well-being, resilience in health, and generally it's to do with well-being. So it's a pretty important seesaw, possibly the most important seesaw you've come across yet. Fortunately for us, we can actually manipulate this, and we can get it to move in the way that we want it to do based on our thoughts, decisions, and actions. And the way that we do this is as simple as thinking about what you're grateful for. Now, what happens when you go into a genuine state of gratitude? So when you're genuinely feeling it and you get that sort of heartwarming feeling in your chest, that releases more of that hormone oxytocin, so that bonding hormone, that love chemical, and that changes the internal state of your body, which encourages the formation of pregnenolone into DHEA. Obviously, there are many different contributing factors, but it's a key one. But that by accessing what you're thankful for, you can tip the balance in the favor that you'd like it to be in. And the lovely thing about this is you cannot feel anxious and grateful at the same time. So by consistently and systematically and strategically thinking about what you're grateful for, and if you do it throughout the day, you give lots of little spurts of these wellness promoting hormones into your circulatory system, so you get this background feeling of calm, appreciation, and thanks. And anxiety just can't live when you're in that state. So what I recommend is you taking on the gratitude challenge. So depending on what phone you've got, I'd recommend you download a free app. It's called Blip Blip. And it's essentially an hourly timer. So I'm sure there's lots of other apps out there. And what happens is you can set your Blip Blip timer from maybe 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So for most of the day. And then once an hour, it'll just give a little vibration or a little tone that gives you an indicator to pause, Take a balanced breath in and out. And then in that very moment, think about 3 things you're grateful for. So they don't have to be big, they don't have to be grand. It could be the chair you're sitting on is really comfortable. The cup of tea you're having is really, really nice. The chat that you just had with a colleague was really supportive. Just in the moment. And then as you go throughout your day, you're training your brain to think about things that you're grateful for. And the more you go through that process, the more you're introducing this background state of calm, gratitude, and thanks. And this over time, most people find that after doing this for about 7 to 10 days, there is quite a dramatic change in the way that they're thinking and feeling because their mindset has shifted. So we talked earlier about how people have the tendency with anxiety to focus on what they don't want. So as well as focusing on what you do want, you then add in what you're grateful for. This trains you to look for things to be appreciative of. And this changes your internal chemistry and it helps you to just fend off anxiety and instill a state of calm and a mindset of gratitude. So it's really, really powerful.